And well, the United States is showing signs of strained patience with ally Israel over its war in Gaza against the Hamas. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is traveling to Israel for talks with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the war cabinet about the next phase in the fighting against Hamas in Gaza. Israel faces increasing diplomatic isolation in its war against Hamas. 153 countries out of the 193-member United Nations General Assembly have called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Israel faces increasing international pressure to do more to limit civilian Palestinian deaths as well as it aims to destroy Hamas. Facing the heat, the U.S. President Joe Biden also warned Israel that it risks losing support over the indiscriminate bombing of Gaza. Meanwhile, the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is heading to Israel as well, as we said, for talks. This after Biden's comments that the U.S. strongly supports Israel in its war with Hamas. There are clear indications here that there are mixed signals coming from America about what it wants Israel to do next.
The president yesterday reflected the reality of global opinion, which also matters. Our support for Israel is not diminished, but we have had concerns, and we have expressed those concerns about the prosecution of this military campaign, even while acknowledging that it's Hamas that started this, and it's Hamas that is continuing it.
The reports have also emerged that the Biden administration is also holding up licenses for selling more than 20,000 US-made rifles to Israel over concerns about attacks by extremist Israeli settlers against Palestinian civilians in the occupied West Bank. It has decided to send the rifle deal to another review by the US State Department. And for the very latest on Jake Sullivan's visit to Israel and what it means for the relations between Israel and America, our correspondent Jody Cohen has the details.
U.S. National Security Advisor Sullivan is in Israel on Thursday for meetings to discuss the timetable of the war, with the U.S. wanting to see the main fighting over by January and Israel saying the war must end when Hamas is no longer a threat and the 135 remaining Israeli hostages have been returned. They're also likely to discuss aid and who should govern a post-war Gaza. The U.S. would like to see the Palestinian Authority take on this role, but Prime Minister Netanyahu has said Gaza can't be led by an entity that supports, teaches and finances terror. Meanwhile, Hamas chief Haniyeh has called for negotiations on a ceasefire, including continued Hamas rule in Gaza after the war. The US is against the ceasefire but would like to see talks on another temporary truce. Israel has suggested it first needs to see a signal that Hamas is really interested in another deal. In the meantime, they believe military pressure is the best way to make that happen. And according to one report, Israel has asked Egypt to mediate. This is Jody Cohen for WION World is One.